Thank you so much for attending my presentation about really dumb normal flying types. I've done videos like this before, but my goal today is to take a look at some of the worst normal flying types and find out what makes them cool. First up is Noctowl. Its stats are a bit strange, but they still don't lead to much success. It's somewhat specially bulky, having 196 numbers on that front, but is lacking elsewhere. It's not powerful, fast, or physically resilient, but there is some promise. While its stab combo is normally awful, getting especially owned by steals, Noctowl's ability, Tinted Lens, can help. This buffs the power of not very effective moves, doubling damage and basically making them hit for neutral. Combined with Hurricane, it can dish out lethal damage, at least in theory. Noctowl can't take advantage well with its stats, and thus it has to use both agility to make it faster and work up to boost special attack or just rocket choice specs. This obviously isn't good or consistent, but can be used in ZU if you're a bit desperate. Also, it has a less interesting special wall set, clearing hazards with Defog before dishing damage via Toxic and Nightshade. It had more success, still in ZU, but I don't like it as much, so let's move on. Fearow is a Pokemon that I honestly forget exists for literal months before inevitably getting it in some old random battles format. Then, after probably losing, it escapes my mind once again. However, despite some pretty poor stats, it can cook a little. There's a few sets it runs. You can obviously choose a more standard Scarfed or Banded build aiming to deal good damage. While sometimes worth it, Dodrio is almost always better, but that's lame. Fearow's cool shit tries to take advantage of Sniper. This ability boosts the damage of critical hits by 1.5 times, dealing some truly enormous damage. What's funny about it is that Sniper is arguably just Fearow's best ability regardless because Keen Eye is almost never strong. Fearow can try and lean into this crit heavy nature though by equipping a scope lens. Unfortunately, while more than normal, crits will still only happen 12.5% of the time. This makes these Fearow sets horrifically inconsistent and very difficult to make work. However, despite this, it's still really raw and can steal games. As soon as you look at Unfezant's stats, it's obviously got a bit more potential. We have our first instance of a stat going over 100, specifically attack at 105, otherwise it's mid. Speed is a serviceable 93, outrunning Mega Garchomp, and defensively it's better than the Uber Pheromosa. What's not to love? Of course I'm messing with you, it doesn't work that well, but that's not to say that Unfezant doesn't have the sauce. It's consistently run one of the weirdest sets I've ever seen, Tailwind Hypnosis support. Now why you ask? Well, Unfezant sucks, and this is basically the only unique thing it can do to set itself apart. These two lesser seen options combine into a team support set, doubling speed and then pivoting out via U-turn. And if it puts something to sleep, it can get a ton of momentum for an offensive threat on their switch out. In addition, it has super luck, raising its crit rate. This combines with the aforementioned scope lens, making all of its attacks crit half the time. With strong stab returns, its damage output really isn't that bad, at least when you flip heads. But in the smaller Gen 8 decks, it was able to do something solid, running a banded set and finding success in ZU. It's not perfect, but any results are nice. Toucanon is much more min-maxed, which does actually help it out a lot. 120 attack is the bright spot with everything else sitting in the 60 to 80 range. This gives it a strong wall breaker role, firing off powerful Brave Birds and 5-hit Bullet Seeds using Skill Link. Or if you're a big number aficionado, mixed sets with Stat Boomers can deal immense damage plus Heatwave Chunk Steals. This sounds cool, and it is, but there's something annoying we need to talk about. Beak Blast. Beak Blast is Toucanon's signature move, having 100 base power and the flying type. How it works is very interesting. Beak Blast charges as soon as the turn starts, but attacks with negative priority. If it's hit by a contact move before the move goes off, it burns the target. This is pretty cool, but it doesn't really work. Underspeeding everything leaves it very open to moves, especially with Toucanon's crappy bulk, and Brave Bird is arguably just better anyways, hitting for more damage. On something that would like to dissuade physical attackers, it could probably function well, but the Toucans just doesn't have the right tools for the job. In conclusion, despite their many shortcomings, normal flying types have some really cool niches in low tiers. Even though they don't get that much usage, it's always a treat to see them shine. Thank you so much for watching.